Hi, this is Sherry from Dive Creations. I just had a great adventure on a Indonesia Expedition, and we started in North Sulawesi in the town of Manado. We traveled from Singapore to Manado, Indonesia via Silk Air. We landed here in Manado. All those orange dots you see, those are active volcanoes. Here's where the airport, the city of Manado is, and Manado is the capital of North Sulawesi province. This one that the arrow is pointing at is called Mount Loken, and it was actually erupting while we were there. And this arrow is pointing to the island that we were taken to upon arrival. We were met by representatives of Bastiano's Dive Resort. They loaded us into this van and off we went, driving through the streets of Manado. It became very obvious to us pretty soon that they were struggling to maintain the infrastructure in this town. There were cars and motorbikes everywhere, but buildings appeared to be run down, falling down. Storm drains where runoff water would go were covered up and filled in for whatever reasons. So it was an interesting ride as we went through town. There were a couple of very nice houses we passed along the way, and lots of these little shops just tucked back into areas. This one had a bunch of swimwear things out in the open, but most of them were kind of like this, and they'd have big gates for their doors. We came across these Glade air fresheners in our van, and I'm thinking, Glade, that's a Johnson product. So when we looked and read these, they actually are from Racine, Wisconsin. I've never seen these in the US, but they are all over Indonesia. Unloading our van at the dock, and we thought this was kind of interesting. You've got some tourists sitting there, you have this little kid on a motorbike talking on his cell phone, and the boats. To me, there's no rhyme or reason how they dock. They just fit in. And if your boat's the second or third one out, you just crawl over everybody else till you get there. Here they are loading our boat. We're the blue one on the right hand side here. And an outrigger coming in, docking behind our boat, and somebody actually walking out to get on it. Piles of things along the walkway around the dock, just waiting for the right boat. And here we are having to walk this plank to get on this one boat and then cross over to the other boat. It's a little intimidating to me. And our boat's loaded with our gear and a bunch of empty jugs. This is Roy and I with an Australian family that we met, and loading the boat still. You've got kids in the background playing near the Heineken beer cases, tourists on the other side, and looking back toward the dock that we had just walked the plank from. Looking out toward the port entrance, there were these markets, or what appear to be markets. Lots of goods sitting around, boats would pull in and out, a lot of activity. Very, very busy place. Just another view of some more of the market area. Our boatman, as we called him, he pulls the anchor and gets us on our way. We're leaving the docks in Manado. We became aware of this huge crane, and on one side this bridge with a little bit on the other side, and as we're leaving we can see in the background Mount Loken, which was the volcano that was actively erupting while we were there. You can see all the smoke coming from it. And a couple of our crew members as we're cruising across the water here. Our boatman, they always seem to put one man on the front of the boat. We're not sure what he's watching for. And then a native outrigger. Our boatman watching as we're approaching our resort. This is Bastiano's Dive Resort on Bonacan Island, just off of Manado. And this is our first view, and they pull the boat right up to the beach and back it up, and you walk through the water onto the beach, and that is how you unload. There we are unloading. We were met in reception with a nice cold fruit juice. We had a total of 3 nights and 2 days of diving at Bastiano's. We did a total of 6 dives, and now we are on our way back to Manado. This is looking toward the volcano early one morning. You can see all the haze and the smoke. The day we left, the volcano had erupted at 2:47 that morning a.m. and it was just very hazy. This mountain is on the opposite side of the resort, and we've been told that it is growing several meters every year. So it's going to be interesting to watch it in the next couple years. The day we left, we had to leave via the town pier, and These are just some outriggers in the very shallow water, and walking out towards the end of the pier where our boat was. This little boy just followed us. He was just so cute. The kids are adorable. Again, this is the mountain that is growing, and there's a couple bulges in it that they've noticed change over the last couple years. You can see the layers of the smoky, smoggy, foggy, but it's volcano smoke is what we're looking at. Arriving back in the port of Manado, you can see the volcano smoke in the background. It was very cloudy, hazy that day. These big boats we discovered coming back in are big ferry boats, and you can't see it here, but on the sides of them it says, "We serve Indonesia." And from what we've learned, they go from island to island, they drop people and supplies off. They are also overfilled, and that's why I think we hear some of the tragedies we do hear of ferry sinkings and that. This big old crane was just kind of interesting watching it, and then we realized that in that basket hanging there were actually a couple men. Just more boats coming into the harbor. Some of the boats look like they might be permanent homes, like they're no longer sailing. Others, this one is being loaded or unloaded, I'm not sure which way, but this is one of the ferry boats. More boats stacked up against the pier. When we pulled into the harbor this time, we were a couple boats out, so we actually had to crawl through somebody's boat while they were having lunch, walk right through them to get onto land. A little bit intimidating. And going back through the streets of Manado toward the airport. Always interesting things. They still have donkey-drawn carts. And these chairs just were traveling right along there. I'm not sure where they're going, where they came from. My favorite is these. We came up on these two white rear ends, and as we passed them, two cows on their way to market, who knows. We arrived back at the airport without any difficulty, checked in, and we're on our way to the next stage of the adventure.